The color of music there was anything but rare. It's Rhyme and Reason 886.
Here's your rhyme and reason. Oh, yeah.
Hey there, Tony here, and I'm going to start out with a question for you. What does it take to see the color of music? Maybe you could use an old boombox, or get you some good loud music and some paints. Maybe make an ultra slow motion camera video of it. Yeah, some guys did that. They call themselves the slow-mo guys. And I called it Ingredients for Razzle Dazzle. You can go to tonyfunderburk.com/color of music, and you'll see a video there where they did this. They poured paint into a speaker and played loud something or other, beats and stuff into it. And the speaker rattled the different colors of paint into each other, and you could see little droplets in the slow motion version of it. It's really, really cool. You got to go there and look at it. Anyway, yeah, I know that's a multimedia way to illustrate the color of music because, well, we know music doesn't actually have a physical color, right? Neither do words, but words and music, and actually many other sounds, you can take those and put them together and you can paint some of the most beautiful, colorful pictures in your head. You can do that. You have that ability. 50 years ago, when I was even younger than I am now, I used to carry around a 19-cent Bic pen. I don't know what they cost anymore. I haven't bought a Bic pen or any other kind of pen in a long time. Used to carry one of those around all the time, and I'd always have a spiral notebook of some sort with me. And I'd take that everywhere I went because I just wanted to be prepared at all times to write down any and all poetry that worked its way to the right side of my brain. That's what I did. And I still do that all these years later, these decades later. For the first 8 months of this particular year I'm talking about, I lived in a small town in eastern Kansas. When I say small, it's about 1,500 people. And, life sure can circle back in on itself, but I'll talk about that later. Anyway, I remember a drive out into the Kansas countryside one spring day after a rain, and I had decided to take in the damp, fresh air and the rural scenery and, see what ideas might spring up. You can see what I did there. Anyway, I figured, I was prepared to talk about some fast-moving streams or fertile green fields of grass or even rainbows of wildflowers, all this kind of thing. It seems like that's what you'd write about when you're going out there into the countryside. But what happened instead was I pulled over and stopped next to an old country fence. And I know you've driven by some, maybe you've even stopped and leaned on some at some point in your life. But there was a sort of a wide spot in the road, and there was no traffic because, like I said, it was rural Kansas. And I rolled down the window, had to crank it down because I didn't have electric windows in my little Ford Maverick. Anyway, I rolled down the window, and I just sat there listening to nature. So there were no city sounds at all, no hustle and bustle of the urban sounds. Probably the only hustle and bustle that I would have heard would have been birds and bugs and breezes. But then I spotted something, a little drop of rain, and it was at the very tip of a limb on a young sapling. I don't even remember what kind of tree it was, but I just kind of wondered how that little drop could just hang on to that limb. Why didn't it fall off? And then a sun ray kind of made its way into that little drop, and it started to shine out a little tiny rainbow. And you almost had to squint. It was just really such a small, almost insignificant moment, but I knew I was the only person in the world who was ever going to see that particular drop of rain on that particular limb. I knew that. That was cool to me. Might not mean a darn thing to you, but I thought it was cool. And you might think it's silly to, put a lot of emphasis on something that happens trillions of times every day. But even in the smallest things, I see ways to appreciate what a complex yet simple world God created for us. And being a poet, it brings me great pleasure to write about as much of it as possible. That's just, I don't know, it just does. So, on that Kansas spring day, all those years ago, I thought about the color of music as I wrote a poem called Glisten. If you could listen to a glisten, what do you think you would hear? I think the sound that would be found would ring out sparkling clear. Glisten is the happy sound of happy children in their happy worlds. What a joy to enjoy when curled up glistens are uncurled. Make for me a glisten I can hold inside my hand. I could carry it with me, and I wouldn't need a band. This is but a moment in our lifetime. I'm a word and you're a word, and we rhyme. If we glisten along our paths will glisten too. And if you glisten for me, I know I'll glisten for you. All right, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Rhyme and Reason podcast, brought to you as always by TonyFunderburk.com, where you can go over there to pretty much any blog post, and you'll see links at the bottom of each one where I ask you, tell you, don't waste any more time trying to go online and find all my really refreshing rhymes and reasons. Just jump on the Rhyme and Reason bandwagon, and I'll send them right to your inbox. And people who are on my email list get things that even my listeners on my podcast don't get. So I encourage you to do it now, and you'll get, if you haven't already done it, if you haven't already signed up for my emails, you'll get some songs and some other surprises. Just go to TonyFunderburk.com or any blog post that you see, recent ones anyway, and you'll see links to where you can do that. Just takes your name and email, and maybe it doesn't even take your name, just your email. But you'll see. It's real easy, and you just confirm that you did it, and boom, right in your inbox, you're going to get some cool stuff, mostly for kids, but I think you'll like it. Okay, that does it for me. And until next time, remember, life has rhyme and reason because God made you.